Think it's time we rise up, people. It's time's up, people. You can talk all you want, but it won't change a thing. I wanna know what you do.
Previously on the Up and Up with Jodi-Newell.
My point is, you set up blockades, you shut things down, you do what you got to do, not to bring attention, but to actually shut down the industry, to bring attention to the oligarchs that your time is done. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was great, but it's over now because we're not going to let you continue like this anymore.
It's the point is to stop
Yes.
you and say, you know what I mean? To
Yeah.
make it uncomfortable.
Which is why so many state houses are passing laws that make it okay for you to hit people with your car if they're blocking traffic.
Fucking insane. Excuse
It's
me.
insane.
So
It is.
fucking insane.
It is insane. It's designed to deter people from doing the only thing that has ever worked in this country, which is that type of protest.
Yep.
Shutting down factories, shutting down bridges, shutting down intersections, doing what you have to do to bring commerce to its knees, and only then, will you actually be able to negotiate. They already own everything. I'm sorry, 5 corporations own 90% of the media.
So fucking crazy.
Even if you do read the New York Times and the Washington Post, and you do watch CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, they're all corporate owned. You are getting a very skewed, very biased analysis, if you even want to call it analysis. It's largely, become entertainment because they want clicks. And they want clicks based upon a narrative that will not threaten the current power structures that we have in place right now.
And we look at politicians as if they're the leaders, but they're not they're not even really supposed to lead. They're supposed to follow. We're supposed to be the leaders, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, it just kind of remind me of that because no politician can do anything without a movement, without the support of their constituents, without people advocating, knowing, without people making making it very visible and very known that this is something that needs to be done. And yet, a lot of times we look at politicians like they're the end all be all, like they're supposed to be making the moves, kid. And it's like, no, we're supposed to build that movement so that they have to move, right?
Exactly.
So that they have to make those things. Hey y'all, welcome to the Up and Up. I'm super excited, as always, to have Jeffrey Ginter.
I've been talking about media and the problems in the media for a long time. I didn't have a microphone. Trump did. Trump got to the national attention with this first, and now, I can't talk about it because then I'm just like Trump. He wants to talk about election fraud. Well, I've been talking about the problems with our elections since about 2001, when we started to go, to electronic voting machines that don't have a paper trail, that have proprietary software, makes it illegal to audit them to find out what actually fucking happened, where political scientists and computer scientists have been saying these things are hackable. A 13-year-old could do it with just a couple of minutes, available to them. It's a real problem that no one wanted to pay attention to. When you have the CEO of Diebold, one of the largest manufacturers of electronic voting machines, in 2003, 2004, going on record saying that he believed it was his responsibility to deliver the election to George H.W. Bush.
Are they related?
No one.
Not like
Are they related? No.
There was I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
They have common interests. They're related in their interests. But the CEO of the company that makes these machines saying that he wants to deliver the election, and no one batted an eyelash. No one lost their minds. No one did anything. The only thing that happened was that he was banned from contributing in any shape or form personally to any election. But his company and his ideology and his direction of the company. Well, who knows? And we don't. And that's the problem.
But even the machine itself, I mean, it's proprietary, like the software is proprietary information. Like
Hmm.
it's just absolutely insane. So like, let's remember this when we talk about public-private partnerships, okay?
Yes.
Like there are some places where that is not a good idea. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
absolutely, and okay, great. That's your business and you want to keep your software proprietary. Okay, you want to keep your information. Fine. Then don't do the fucking elections. Like, I don't
Exactly.
understand how these things can,
Exactly. Or
why these things should
expand,
be.
yeah, expand your repertoire. You do electronic voting machines with software that is not proprietary, or if it is proprietary, great, but it is open source now,
Mhm,
because for the common good, one of the most common goods that are out there is our ability to come together to vote for our leaders. It is a common good. So yes, you want to be part of that. You're going to make the machines, and you are going to supply the software. Great, but it's got to be open source. There has to be a forensic audit available, and you have to have a paper trail. I'm sorry, there's no two ways about it. And if that's your only business, I'm sorry, that was your problem. But you will be incredibly well compensated. And if you're smart and you want to do other businesses on the side, other types of machines with other types of processes, have at thee. Those can be proprietary, but not these ones. Did we
yeah.
do that? Fuck no. Because apparently voting in the dark is a good thing.
Well, now, is it, I feel like, I want to say it was just maybe a couple weeks ago or something that I was hearing that a lot of states have gone back to um, paper ballots.
Hmm.
I mean, counted through the machine and stuff, like whatever, but
Sure.
then you still have the actual ballots and whatever
Yeah.
afterwards, as opposed to, because it did seem like it was a trend for a while where everybody was going to like these computers and stuff. And I was like, just voting on the computer and then not having any, um,
Yeah. Well,
any,
the Help America Vote Act really fucked a lot of people.
hmm,
Uh, but again, even voting by paper, there are problems.
mhm,
There have always been issues with ballots going missing, and then showing up and not being counted, and absentee ballots. There are a lot of problems, with voting, and there don't have to be any.
hmm,
But first and foremost, the methodology for voting has to be straightforward, having registration be easy, having access to the ballot be easy, not only just in terms of who can vote and when and where, but also in terms of ballot access if I want to run. Democrats working harder to keep third party votes off, the ballot rolls, harder for that than they do for just about anything else, really.
mhm.
Um, so,
Well,
when they say they were,
the dynamic of the two is clearly beneficial. Like it's clear, you know
yes,
what I mean? Like I don't, they couldn't get away with the things that they do if it weren't just the two parties
yeah,
and play off of each other and all this kind of stuff. You're either
vote for us. You
granting
have no other choice, and we're going to make sure that you have no other choice.
yeah.
You know, the reason you have no other choice is because we made sure of it. You know, and that's called democracy. When they say, you got to preserve our democracy, show me when we ever had democracy.
Hmm.
I mean, how are you defining democracy? The fact that one person, one vote. There's been a lot of people in this country that have not been able to vote. And I'm not just talking historically 200 years ago. I'm talking yesterday. There's still a lot of people who can't fucking vote, whether they be ex-convicts, whether they be people who moved, and then got voter purged. There's a lot of people who cannot vote, and a lot of people who can vote, but they close down all the polling places except for maybe one in an entire county or entire district, and you got to wait for fucking hours
Mhm.
and hours and hours. And then they're making it illegal in Georgia to feed people, to give them water if they're waiting in line. That's apparently a crime.
Can you imagine like you're sitting there the entire day? Like I don't know. It's
These
insane. I've
voters
been
got to pull
spoiled, I
themselves
guess.
up.
Like I've everywhere where I've lived, it's it's been very easy. Because that's suburbs, whatever.
Yeah.
It was interesting too because I volunteered at the polls this year, and there were like a couple of people, kind of made these, under the breath comments, whatever. And like one guy's like, "Well, where's all the lines?" Just like, you're so funny. It's like people think if they don't see it in front of them that it doesn't exist, And I'm like, I just looked at him and I said, "Yeah, we're really lucky we live in a small city, aren't we? Like what do you, I don't know what to say to you, dude."
Yeah. What? There's a snowflake falling. I guess global warming's a bit of a hoax, ain't it?
Yes.
Jesus.
They brought a whole snowball
Mother.
into the house, the chambers, didn't they, at one point?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, global warming. We got to be more worried about global cooling.
Talk about
It's
lazy.
March in Washington, and I can make a snowball. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of wanton stupidity. There's a lot of stupidity that's manufactured. There's a reason that American education is in the shitter because that's in the best interest of the ruling oligarchs.
Yep.
They don't want a concerned, thinking citizenry.
And
That's
straight
not in their
up
best interest.
vilified. And straight
Yeah.
up vilified. But and this kind of anti-intellectual, college is indoctrinating people and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, it's you do realize that's just like they just there's a reason for that, right? Like
Yeah,
that serves
a
their
reason.
purposes to tell you
Yeah.
that, to dissuade you from going and getting,
They don't want you educated.
further education.
They don't want you to hear about race and the history of race in the classrooms, not because it's going to make you hate America, but because it's going to make you want to change America.
Mhm.
It's going to make you want to change the way things are done, and they don't want to change the way things are done. They like it. It serves them. You serve them, and they want that. They need that.
Let me ask you a question, Geoff, because
Sure.
here's my thought, right? We're talking about these bullshit cult of personality conversations rather than talking about the real issues. Yet somehow at this point, we are like forced to have this conversation about like critical race theory when it is clearly a bullshit argument. The way that the laws are being written that are banning it are banning not just critical race theory, they're banning having any type of conversation about race or like whatever.
They're banning thought.
It's like a non-issue that is taking up so much air in the room. Like it's but you have to, because otherwise they're going to do royally fucked up shit behind the scenes on behalf of this bullshit argument.
I actually like that they're talking about we don't want you to do, critical race theory. I like that they're doing that for one reason and one reason only. It's an issue. It's an issue. I don't mind you not wanting Medicare for all. I don't mind you thinking that critical race theory is a bad idea. I don't mind if we're having a conversation about issues and we're taking up different positions, because then we can actually talk to each other. At least we have the opportunity to talk to each other and maybe persuade and maybe get people to realize the error of their ways and maybe expand the base of people who want these things, because then the issue is going to be, okay, you want these things. What are you willing to do to get these things? That's the conversation I want to get to. I'm not interested in saying Ted Cruz is a fucking idiot. I know he's a fucking idiot. Don't need to say it. I'm not interested in saying Joe Biden is better than Trump. Is he better than Trump? No, he's the reason we had Trump in the first place. Does that not make him considerably worse? Him and Pelosi and all the other Democrats that actually stood in the way of everything that would have drastically improved the conditions on the ground. Because when people are well adjusted, when people feel they actually have skin in the game, when people actually feel they have opportunity and they're not struggling and they can actually stop and take a breath, people like that don't vote for someone like Trump. Trump would have been laughed out of the room. He would never have had an opportunity. But because we had Republicans becoming more and more vile and Democrats allowing them to do it, because no matter what happened, they maintain their power, and that's all that matters.
Mm.
Because of that, the people that said they were on our side demonstrate again and again and again that they're not on our side, either because of weakness or willingness or capitulation or culpability. But either way, are the people that say they're on our side but show that they're not actually on our side, are they not worse than the ones who are coming right at us, where we can see them, where we can do something about them? But when the people who are actually allies are stabbing us in the back, coming up behind us and slitting our throats, I'm not worried about Republicans. I'll be dead long before they get here. My allies are killing me.
Mm.
My allies are allowing these things to happen. So I want to talk about issues. I want to make issues the most important topic, because what comes immediately after that is, what are you going to do about it?
So let me just clarify, or ask you for clarification, because
Sure.
what I think you're saying is that, see, when I talk about it, I feel like, I define it as like a non-issue or a bullshit, argument, a bullshit conversation, because specifically, explicitly, critical race theory is not,
Mhm.
that
It's
thing
not
is
happening.
not
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
But what you're saying is that, it's actually beneficial. It's actually a good thing to have that conversation, because that conversation leads to a conversation about race and systemic racism and
Yes.
things like that. So it
Because then
leads
we.
to an actual issue that does need to be discussed,
Mhm.
even if it's kind of brought to the fore,
Mhm.
on, in the under the auspices of this, bullshit
Yeah.
conversation that
Because if
leads
you
to
if
it.
you
That
if
makes
you want
sense.
to have
Okay.
the
Okay.
conversation that we should not be teaching critical race theory, fine, let's talk about that. And in
Mm,
talking about that, we're talking about the history of racism in this country.
I gotcha.
So you want it not taught in schools? Okay, we're going to get there. But for right now, we're going to have this conversation in the halls of Congress, on TV, and we're going to have this conversation in state houses, and we're going to have this conversation in town halls, and we're going to have these conversations in living rooms. And then eventually, when the people that actually know how to present history as it actually was, we're going to win, and then it will be taught in schools. So
Mm.
by all means, tell me what we can't have. Tell me what you want to outlaw because you're afraid of your precious little power. I have no fear of that. You're acting like an idiot. I know it. I don't need to call you an idiot. I'm going to show you and everyone else exactly why we need to teach critical race theory.
Mm.
Don't need to insult you while I'm doing it. You're doing a good job of that on your own. You know, so as long as we're having conversations about issues, we are at least pushing forward the only thing that's going to save us. If we're always talking about personalities, we don't progress anything.
Mm.
Nothing gets pushed forward. Because if you only care about winning elections, then as soon as the last election is over, you're already thinking about the one coming up. Because suddenly having, you know, 53 senators, 53 senators isn't enough, because, hey, some of them might not vote the way we want them to vote. So we're not going to push anything until we have a super majority. Okay, fine. 6 years later, and now you've got
Right.
61, but hey, some of them might not vote our way, and that's not good. So we're not going to actually push anything until we actually have all the senators in one fucking party.
Mm.
That's the way it goes. You're always deferring action until the next election, until the next election. That's what electoral politics gets you. And then if you want to go down the road of identity politics, we have to have a woman, in power. Well, how wonderful. And they always say that because a woman, they say, is fundamentally different from a man. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. You want to have that opinion? I hold an opinion very similar to that. However, you can be a man and act like we would think a woman acts, and you can have a
Mm-hmm.
woman who acts as we think a man would act. And
Right.
quite honestly, you're more likely to have a woman acting like a man in those situations, because it's more likely that you, as a woman, had to start acting more and more like a man
Mm-hmm.
to be able to achieve that kind of power. And what do we have right now that shows this beyond a shadow of a doubt? The vast majority of CEOs of weapons manufacturing companies in this
Mm.
country are women. So, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, if women were in power, there'd be fewer bombs. Then why are the CEOs, of these weapons manufacturing, are they women?
Yep.
I don't care what your identity is before I know what your ideology is. After I know your ideology, if it's important, tell me about your identity. But are we tired of being, ruled by rich white men? Sure. But show me a rich white man that is actually embarrassed about being rich and wants to do the right thing and has a history of 40 years of trying to do the right thing. And then show me a woman, a young woman of color, who says the right thing now, but 5 years ago when she was doing something else, it wasn't saying those things. We're saying the exact opposite. Which one am I going to vote for? I'm not going to be told that we need to have a woman of color when I know that her history shows that she was actually against the things that we actually need. So identity is a trap. Identity is a cudgel used against us. You have to vote for this person or you're a misogynist. You have to vote for this person or you're a racist. And yet the ideology of these people, is demonstrably not in our best interests. But I'm told I have to, because culturally I have to. And culture is a wonderful thing, an important thing, but if it's not backed by ideology, if we're not going to get the policy passed that we need, and we don't have time to fuck around with small gestures, we don't have time for performative issues, we need huge systemic changes, not just to make ourselves feel better and to give ourselves a pat on the back, but because it's either that or we're gonna fucking die. So I don't want to talk about individuals anymore. I don't want to talk about Jimmy Dore. I don't want to talk about Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. I don't want to talk about any of them. I want us to start talking about policy.
Yeah.
I want us to start getting a consensus on policy. And then I want us to start having a conversation about what are we going to do about these people who are not going to do it. Joe Biden doesn't want to do it. Kamala Harris doesn't want to do it. But all of them will bend to pressure. And the only thing that they're getting pressure from right now is oligarchs.
Right.
So if we want that to change, we ourselves are going to have to change first. We are going to have to start expecting more of ourselves. We will not vote our way out of this. The existing politicians will not do anything to fix the situation. At best, they're going to give us scraps. They're going to try to give us little crumbs just to get us to shut the fuck up.
Yep.
And we have to stop falling for it. That's it. Any policy description you want for or against is a good thing. Anytime you want us to talk about a politician or a pundit, I know you're not serious. I know you think you're serious. I know you're angry. I know your heart's probably in the right place. I know you've got all these things that you want and you think of yourself in a certain way. I'm just trying to tell you that talking about those things is energy wasted.
Exactly.
Even if you think, even if you think, I talk about policy all the time, Geoff. Great. Unfortunately, we are up against 40 to 50 years of inertia, 40 to 50 years of lack of action. You don't have the luxury of taking a moment to make yourself feel better, because there are hundreds, thousands, millions of people who don't have the luxury of doing nothing, but are looking for excuses, subconsciously, almost certainly, but they're looking for it. They just want to go back to brunch. They just want to go back to sleep. God, can I just go back to normal? Doesn't matter that normal was a horror show. It doesn't even matter that my normal wasn't that great, but it's better than this. And they're looking for excuses to stand down. And every time you say, Joe Biden better than Donald Trump, is the excuse they need to not push Joe Biden. What? Trump was the worst. Biden is better. Oh, thank God. We're okay now, right? We're okay. No, we're not. We're still going downhill. We're still picking up speed, and we're still going to go over that cliff. Just because he took his foot off the gas is meaningless. The inertia behind the vehicle is clear. We're fucked. 118 degrees in Antarctica. Thank you very much. And I have this little thing that I used to just pop on people's thing when they would say Andy Kim. He's my congressman, Andy Kim. He's a quintessential neoliberal, but he's a really nice guy, and people just love him. So he'll do photo op after photo op after photo op, and he's looking for bipartisan. So that's what I love in this day and age, bipartisan. You spend 9/10 of your life saying that Republicans are traitors, but then the other 10th of your attention is trying to get them to sign on to your bills. Are these people traitors or are they not traitors? The fuck. You can't actually have it both ways. You want things desperately to be bipartisan, but bipartisan means you are willingly ignoring the left to court the right, who history shows are not going to vote for anything you want anyway.
Right.
It kills me. So, a lot of people in my district love Andy Kim. They just fucking love him. And there's nothing that I can do or say that changes their mind whatsoever. He says the right things, and that's all that's important. He says the right things. Not about what he does, it's about what he says. So every time, I don't look for this. If it pops up in my feed, there's another one of the people I know in my district who is saying, Congressman Andy Kim, he's so nice. He's so civilized. To which I just simply post, a couple of hashtags, Medicare for all, single payer healthcare, Green New Deal, and a little blurb at the end, just trying to keep the focus on policy, the only thing that's going to save our lives. And I got a lot of shit talk for that. You're trying to celebrate this individual, and make no demands of him whatsoever. Even though he's not actually advancing anything, you make no demands whatsoever. You just simply give over your vote and then genuflect. And all I'm trying to do is just bring the attention back to policies. And apparently that's too much to ask for in that district.
Why are you such a downer, Geoff?
Well, because people are dying and suffering. I'm sorry that their lives and my advocacy for them, the lives that you actually cared about when a Republican was in power, but you don't care about now that a Democrat is in power, because apparently the reason nothing is changing is still because of the Republicans. So you're consistent as fuck, Mr. Neil. I'm sorry. I thought we were on the same team, and we were about 4 years ago. But now, it's now that your team is in power, and I still want the same things, and all you want to do is suck at the teat of power. Great, wonderful.
All right, I gotta go. My natives are getting restless, but
yes.
come back on anytime.
It'd be my
It's always
pleasure.
a good conversation.
I love talking with you, Jodi.
All right, be good.
Do I have to? I
good.
don't know. No.
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 It's not coming out the right way.
Oh no, it is for me. It is for me.
There we go.
Yeah.
Be good.
Be good, Marty. All right.
All right. I'll talk to you later, man.
Okay. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.